Hi there, everybody. This is David, and I just got done watching the Nintendo Direct, just like all y'all probably just got done watching the Nintendo Direct. And I've got to say, at first, I was like, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning for this? Actually, I woke up at 5:54 in the morning, came straight on in, turned on my computer, sat there, started watching the Nintendo Direct, and for the first half an hour or so, I'm like, what is this? But there was one game that totally stole the show. So you're watching me. This is what I look like straight first thing in the morning, unwashed face, bad head. This is me. So the one game that stole the show, Dragon Warrior 7 Reimagined. And I want to tell all y'all all about it. And I definitely do think that's worth a sub as you come and you join a party and you level on up with me. Thank you so much for your sub, your like, and your brand new hype. All those hypes really do help me out a ton. Thank you so much for them. So, oh my gosh, y'all. Dragon Quest VII is one of my favorite entries in the entire series. I know that it gets a bad rap. I know that it is known as kind of like the black sheep of the series, simply because it is very long, and because it feels like an SNES game, but on the PlayStation 1, or at least it did back in the day whenever it first got announced. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, this is no good, blah, 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 blah. But then Dragon Quest VIII kind of like shot the series into the modern age. But I like Dragon Quest VII. I like SNES era games. And it is very long. It is a Dragon Quest game made for the fans. If you like job class systems, things like that, you will love this game. So I think that it's going to be coming out for the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. At least, hopefully, it's coming out for the Switch 1 because, you know, game key cards and all that kind of stuff. But there was a little blurb at the bottom of the trailer, and it said, based on the Switch 2 version, which means that there is another version. Now, it could be that there's a Switch 1 version. I mean, it's Dragon Quest VII. How, you know, powerful could this thing possibly be? But it could also mean that it's maybe coming out for the PS5, the Xbox, or the PC. We do not know. It is coming out on February the 5th, though. So yeah, it's coming out very early. And I talked about this a couple of months ago. I was on vacation and I came to y'all on vacation on my little camera telephone talking to y'all about this because I was so excited about this supposed rumor about Dragon Quest VII coming out. And I was like, I gotta talk about this. This is crazy. And everybody poo-pooed all over me. Why are you talking about this? Why? It's not gonna be 7. It's gonna be 4. But here it is, folks. It's 7. But then you have to ask, why is it 7? Why isn't it 4, 5, and 6, and then 7? Why is it 1, 2, 3, 7? Here is my theory. Back in Japan, about 25-something years ago, maybe 23 or so years ago, the little game called Dragon Quest Monsters Caravan Heart came out on the Game Boy Advance. We never got that game in America because Dragon Quest and they hated us. And it starred Kiefer. It starred Kiefer in the world of Estard, in the world of Dragon Quest VII, like a younger Kiefer, kind of like they did like a young Yangus or a young Eric in some of these other Dragon Quest Monsters games. And he was in Dragon Quest VII for about 5 or so minutes until he walks into a cupboard and gets warped into the world of Dragon Quest II. So there is a connection canonically with Dragon Quest VII, although it is a very weak connection. So this is the only thing I could possibly think of is because Dragon Quest VII had Kiefer and then there was Caravan Heart. That's why they're doing 7 next. But it's very, very, very interesting. And speaking of Kiefer, at the end of the trailer, there's this hooded man, this kind of masked man. Who's that masked man? I think it's Kiefer. I think he's going to be coming back. There was a statement made by the developers quite some time ago that they actually wanted to bring Kiefer back into the fold, bring him back into the party, but they weren't able to do that. So if you don't know, Kiefer starts the game off with you. He's one of your very first party members. But then in the early parts of the game, he leaves. He goes off with like this dancing troupe and he leaves on one of like the past islands. And you don't see hide or hair of him, although you do see like a note left from him. That's pretty much it. But then later on, much later on in the game, you kind of go back to where that traveling dancing troupe traveled to, and you hear more about them. And I remember the first time I played the game, I was like, oh, we're gonna get Kiefer back. we didn't get Kiefer back. Maybe this time we will be getting Kiefer back. There is so much Dragon Quest here, y'all. This just tells me, if nothing else, this tells me we're going to be getting all of the Dragon Quest games remade. Maybe it's going to be, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in HD 2D, and then 7, 8, 9, and so on is going to be in a different graphical style. And they're using 7 to kind of test that graphical style, and they have it ready, and they're going to go ahead and put it out. So probably next is going to be 8 in this different reimagined style, and then hopefully 9, because 9 needs to get off the DS already. Like, oh my god, get it off of the DS jail. This is so cool. Now, most of the trailer doesn't showcase too much gameplay, but there is one little tiny 2-second scene that does showcase some gameplay, so I kind of want to dissect this with y'all to see what we can see. First of all, this is an overworld screen, so there is an overworld map. It's kind of like in this isometric sideways view. You can kind of see different islands in the background and things like that. You can see a town, you can see a bridge beyond the town. You can see enemies on the screen. Enemies are appearing on the world map, and it looks like there's a little exclamation point over the monster's head, and then your hero slashes him, deals 135 damage, and then it immediately goes into battle. So this is not action-based. This is not a mixture of action and turn-based. This is, hey, I got a preemptive attack with my sword slash by hitting the X button. I dealt some extra damage. Boom, immediately turn-based. That's what this is. You can also see in the upper left-hand corner, it says the region, it says Hubble region, and then there's 4 little icons. If you go up, it says a map. To the left, it has the little, priest healers icon, so that tells me that's the handy heal all. To the right, it has a musical note, so maybe you can, change the music, I guess. I'm not really sure what that's about. And then on the bottom, it has a little orb, so I'm thinking fortune teller's orb. That's a way to say, oh, where are the tablet pieces in this world? Where are they located? It'll be like your little tablet locator. There's also a mini map you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. It shows your position, shows a little shrine, shows the town, shows the ship. Now let's look over at our characters, because this is fascinating. It shows your party members, Aris, Maribel, Ruff, and Ash. Mervin is not in the party, he is in the back row, but since he's right there, it looks like you can trade him in whenever you want to, which is so nice. Probably just trade him right on in from the menu. But that's not the most fascinating thing. The fascinating thing is what is next to each character's portrait. If you look, it has a picture of Aris, and then next to him are 2 little tiny icons. The top, they're very small. Whenever I say little tiny in my eyes, I'm 43 years old, my eyes are not what they used to be. It looks like one is a little hero icon, so it's showing his job class, but then underneath it there's a different icon. So it tells me that you can kind of have a main job class and a sub job class equipped at the same time, because it's the same way for both characters. We know in battle that Maribel is using a sage ability. It literally says Sage on there. So one of those icons, probably the bottom icon, is a Sage icon, which is the same icon that Ash has, but then she has something else. It looks like a little hammer. So I guess her main job would be the hammer job, and then her sub job would be the Sage job. Ruff has a little slime icon down there. So maybe it's like a monster wrangler or something like that. Monster master is his job class. Then it looks like he's a fist, so he's like a fighter as well. Ash has that Sage job class, and then there's also a little top hat down there. Maybe that's magician or caster, wizard of some sort. So it looks like it's going like the Final Fantasy V route, that you can have a main job and a sub job, 2 job classes equipped at the same time. That is so freaking amazing. I think this is so cool. I'm loving this, y'all. Y'all have no idea. I remember way back in the day, we're talking before the game was even released, people were wondering, why is this game taking so long? This is 1999, y'all. And there was a magazine article, and I read about it in the break room at Publix, because we were able to take the magazines in there, and I read so many magazines on break there. And there was a story saying, hey, our original story of Dragon Quest VII was leaked, and we had to redo the entire game. We had to redo the story, and we actually had to rush it. So, you know, they weren't able to put in certain things that they wanted to put in. So maybe now that they've reimagined it, this is going to be what they originally wanted. This is how they're going to be getting it right this time. And this means that all of the Dragon Quest games are coming. Not just the SNES games, not just the NES games. Looks like all of them are coming, and this is amazing. But now I want to hear from y'all. What do you feel about this news? Are you as excited about I am with like the 2 job classes and everything else? This is amazing. Let me know in the comments, and have a good day.